Rocket and Groot. We all know them. But do we though? Today we are looking at the latest card to release in Marvel Snap. We're going to review it, but first we're doing some lore and character history. That might make you say,
Yeah, it's a bit much.
in this installment of
Isn't worth it.
What's going on, nerds? Let's jump into some lore, starting with Groot, Rocket, then we'll do Groot, and then we'll do the bromance real quick. This lore section might be longer than I want, but here we go. So Rocket is a raccoon. He was stolen from Earth by some alien humanoid people and basically inscripted as a service animal in the Half-World Asylum for the Criminally Insane. Great place to be a service animal. Rocket was assigned to a dude named Kevix, who was a veteran who had a potty mouth, and he was a very angry man. But he was nice to our little furry friend Rocket. Oh, and then the same aliens that stole Rocket also built robots to help out at this asylum, apparently. I don't know, but all I know is this planet, or this humanoid alien race, really did a lot of stuff to help other things take care of their veterans. They didn't want to deal with it. They were like, animals, robots, you go deal with these people. But at least they were doing something. So these robots are doing some stuff, they're helping out, and then a nearby star explodes, creating a nova that, for some reason, gave these robots sentience, because that makes sense. And then what did these robots decide to do with their newfound sentience? Free themselves of their slavery to be service objects? No, they made the animals around them smart. Okay, I guess. I mean, they're only helping, but are they though? Because what they did was they took all the service animals and tortured them through genetic mutations and cybernetic implants. And I say torture because they didn't just give them this stuff. They used horrible experiments, kind of like High Evo in the MCU. Anyways, that is Rocket. On to Groot. Groot is a tree person. Sure, you already knew that, but just to clarify, he's a tree. Groot and the other arbor folk come from a planet called Planet X, apparently, that was created by the Gardener, who is a elder god of the universe. Look at this dude. He looks like he plays bass for the Alan Parsons Project or something. I don't know, but he's really powerful and likes plants. Groot never really got along with his other sapling buddies, and he actually, weirdly enough, took more of a liking to all the maintenance animals that were on this planet. Pretty sure these two characters were created years apart, but for some reason, they both had service animals in their origin story. Cut to some years later, Groot and his sapling buddy friends that he doesn't really like too much, they go to a place called the Deadwood, which is quite literally the elephant graveyard from The Lion King. It's full of bones, death, crazy hyenas, and a lion with a scar who will kill your parents. But what do you know? It's called the Deadwood for a reason, because they all went to the Deadwood and they got kidnapped by human trafficking pirates. Well, I mean, I guess it's not human trafficking, it's tree trafficking. Still though, how is that a pirate thing to do? They just go to one pirate's like, hey, what are we gonna do? You want to rob some people or something? No. How about we go to this weird planet and steal tree people? Great idea, pirate. But yeah, they get kidnapped and then are saved by Captain Marvel. Hyphen. Don't forget the hyphen. It's not Marvel, it's Marvel. This goofy looking dude. Also some Kree were there too, obviously, because that's what Marvel is. And they go back to the Deadwood to help clean it up, rid the place of bad people and tree traffickers. Let's get to some years later. Groot sees some of his sapling buddies abusing a maintenance mammal. Yeah, maintenance mammal. It wasn't maintenance animals, maintenance mammals, what they called them. Anyways, he saw that, ended up killing one of them, and was banished forever, which is how he ends up meeting Rocket. I don't want to dig too deep in their like how they actually ran into each other, but basically Star-Lord sort of kidnapped people and used them as like henchmen in some heist thing he had going on. They hit it off. They're like, dude, you're a cool guy. And he's like, yeah, you're a cool guy too. Can I sit on your shoulder? I am Groot. And then during this mission thing that Star-Lord kidnapped him for, Groot seems to die. He becomes baby Groot, and Rocket was very relieved. But yeah, they've been best bros ever since, and it's time to review this card. Let's go. Rocket Racoon and Groot is a 3 energy, 3 power card that reads, you can move this once. After your opponent plays a card here, steal 1 power from it. All right, overall impressions of Rocket and Groot. I'm kind of two minds here. Part of me says this card's like just not gonna cut it, but the other part of me says like, well, technically you could get like this thing is technically like 7 power on average, and it does some cool things against certain types of decks, and yeah, I'm not sure what to think, honestly. The 2 decks that it hoses, or the type of decks that it hoses, we'll get into here in the good and bad, dig a little deeper. But I suppose just stealing like 2 or 3 power with Groot is really good enough, because you're stealing 2 power, it makes them 5 power, and then you're taking away power from cards on the board, so it's really like 7 power. So I don't think it's that bad, but also it's not too exciting. Let's get into the good and the bad. All right, the first thing here, what I just mentioned a second ago, it hoses 2 archetypes. What I'm referring to here is essentially bounce and all of those like Thena, Angela, Kitty Pryde tempo decks. Basically any deck that runs Kitty Pryde, Angela, or Thena is going to hate seeing this card. And that's not just 2 archetypes, that's like an archetype and a whole swath of types of decks that just happen to use a 2 to 3 card combo, which is pretty solid. I mean, it's kind of a tech card, honestly. It stops a lot of certain shenanigans. The second thing here is it can move. I mean, obviously it moves because if you misplay this on turn 3, then it's like a really bad card. So you can shift it and then, recorrect your mistake essentially. Or you can shift it at the like on turn 6 and just kind of steal a game. It's kind of cool. And then the third thing here, it's still okay even if you don't abuse it. And by abuse, I mean like really dig into its ability and just lean on it super heavy. I don't think Rocket and Groot is really going to need to be like leaned on, and you're going to make your deck being like, I want Rocket and Groot to be really good. I think it's just going to be okay even if you don't aim to do that with your deck, which is cool. The last thing here, the echo effect. And by that, I basically mean when you play him down on turn 3, it's going to alter the way the opponent plays. Echo, Nebula, Mojo even to an extent, they all sort of have the same sort of thing going on where they hit the board and it makes the opponent just either not want to take the lines that they're taking or just kind of change how they were going to play, which is cool. I think it's a really underrated utility in Marvel Snap. One of my particularly favorite things to do is try to shoehorn Nebula and Mojo into like a lot of decks, because you put them in the same lane and it like really forces your opponent to be like, do I really want to bother with this? But hey, now that I say it, maybe you can Nebula and Groot and just punish them for stopping your Nebula from going. That's pretty cool. All right, on to the bad here. Late gameplay equals trash. Panda. That's a joke. Haha. But this one's pretty obvious. You play this on turn 5 or 6. You'll be lucky if you get like 5 points of power out of it. Kind of sucks, but honestly, you can say that about a lot of cards. I don't think this card is actually too bad in any specific regard, but that is something to consider. Second thing here, it's avoidable and you can work around it. Like I said with the echo effect, I do think that's an underrated thing to force your opponent to have to choose where to play and to alter how they want to try to win the game. A lot of decks probably just are not going to care about your Rocket and Groot, or are going to be able to win perfectly fine by just playing around it a little bit. So yeah, an effect that like relies on your opponent playing into it maybe isn't the strongest. All right, and the last thing here is it's meta and opponent dependent. By this, I mean like this would be great in bounce metas. It would be great in tempo metas. It would be great really in like any meta that wasn't consisting of like singularly powerful cards. And I think right now we are in a meta that like for the most part is a meta where like you're just trying to play big things. The bigger you go, the better. So maybe Rocket's not going to be the best right now when it comes out. All right, onto a potential deck list. And this is the first thing that came to my mind. A little lazy, sorry. But it's a Ajax hazmat deck. I was just like, this says steel power on it. I'm going to put it with Ajax because I'm smart. No, but actually it could be pretty good here. This Ajax deck has kind of been missing like 1 or 2 key slots, and I think this does a great job of filling in there. Silver Sable's not as great anymore, and Iron Lad, Anti-Venom, and Man-Thing are all super great in this sort of deck, so we're doing Zabu instead of Silver Sable, and we're doing Rocket and Groot where you would usually see like a Shang-Chi or something. I always thought Shang-Chi was a little weird in the Ajax decks because you're reducing power from things. Anyways, but yeah, I think it's really cool. My favorite part of this deck is that Iron Lad and Anti-Venom, everything they copy here except for Zabu and Scorpion are sweet. Yeah, there's not going to be a place on the board where the opponent's going to want to play. You got Rocket and Groot, US Agent, Man-Thing, and Red Guardian just ruining lanes. This could be trouble. Let's move on to some recommendations. Should you spend your resources? So this week's actually not too bad. It's a little weird though. So as far as tokens go, I just can't recommend buying Rocket and Groot with tokens because I think even if Rocket and Groot, like I've been saying, like it could be decent, it could be just kind of bad. I don't think in any scenario though is Rocket and Groot good enough or going to be meta defining enough for me to be able to justify telling you to spend 6k tokens on it. I do think it's going to be a good card. I would be happy if I had it, but yeah, I just can't with the tokens. Now, as far as keys go, I think it's a little different. So Celine, I think, is underplayed, especially in like Annihilus junk decks, but it's not the best. So Celine's sort of putting over in the whatever category. Blaba, on the other hand, is awesome. If you didn't get Gore or you don't have Red Hulk, there's a lot of decks that just need like a beefy 6-drop. Blob is great. I would say 4 keys is probably worth it then. Because Rocket's, I don't think going to be bad. I think it's just going to be middle of the road. And Blob is sort of the same. It's not super great. We're not seeing it a lot, but it's also not bad at all. So spending 4 keys, hopefully less if you're lucky, to get both them cards, I think it's a great proposition. But that is it for me in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.